If you were to kind of put it in a nutshell, what would you say is one of the most important things in terms of developing confidence?
I think one of the most important things for developing confidence, if you don't have it, is make yourself into someone else that has those traits. So, like in a way, you model someone else, right? So let's say that like I'm constantly like I'm the shy person, right? And everyone tells me, oh, you're just shy. It's okay. But I want to put myself a little bit more out there, and I'm not very confident yet. So one thing to do is you look at these other people. Quit staring at me like that.
Sorry.
But you look at like these people like Tony Robbins, right? You're like, okay, this guy, he's a model of confidence. And then you try just for a few days, you try like modeling him how he acts, what he does, and then the first couple of days will be very awkward, very weird, and it won't feel natural. It's kind of like when you get a new haircut, like a fresh new style. You look a little weird, right? Until you start getting compliments and it's like, oh, nice haircut, right? So you start mimicking the person, like, oh, I like the way you're acting. You're a little bit more outgoing. I like this. So it'll be weird at a little first, but as you more and more you do like put yourself in like put them in your head and act like them, it'll become second nature
So
to you,
like
and that will become your personality, you know.
so like not mocking them, but or like not mimicking them entirely, but modeling them.
Modeling
So
them, yeah. Did I say
basically,
mocking?
you said mimicking, but
Mimicking.
it's
Oh,
like,
it's the same. It's
yeah.
practice the same.
But like for those at home that want to know a better understanding of the gist of it, you want to model somebody. You know, who's at the level you want to be at, who's doing the things you want to be doing, and who has the mindset that you want to have. When you see someone like that, especially in someone like a Tony Robbins, if you notice with Tony Robbins, he's the definition of confidence. He exudes confidence. You know, what he does is he takes these big, large, empowering breaths where before he goes on stage, he's like basically inhaling all the air possible, which is going to make him feel more powerful. And on top of that, he actually does this thing where he jumps on a trampoline before he goes on stage to not only get the blood flowing, but the adrenaline going. Then after
Like he
that,
has a mini trampoline.
yeah,
I didn't
right
even
behind his stage.
Right behind us.
And
What the heck?
when you see him in interviews, pay very close attention to his body language. If you notice something, he takes up the room around him. When he talks with his hands every. And now this doesn't mean that when you are in an environment, you literally have to make people uncomfortable by taking up the entire room. This could be simple things such as using your hands as your body language. You know, kind of sitting asymmetrically, kind of like this with your arm draped over a chair, whatever the case may be, but in a sense where other people are capable of being comfortable, but at the same time, you're still showing that you have a relaxed demeanor. There's a lot of people that when they're in a situation where they're trying to impress somebody, you'll notice because they sit up too straight. So they almost get very uncomfortable where they're just like this, right? And there's an interview with John Cena. You can't see him in it, but there's an interview with him where he's talking, and everybody is literally sitting up straight, like perfectly straight. And then there's
I'll be like, yo, can you like
I,
relax a little?
I forget the celebrity's name. If I can find a video, I'll just pin it up to this video here. But I forgot the celebrity's name. But he was the only celebrity that you can see. He's like literally relaxed. He's like slouch. Like, you know, he's just like basically laying back. He knows that if he puts his drink on the table, it's going to be too far for him to reach. So he actually has his drink on the floor next to him. So that way he doesn't have to lean over to grab his drink. He just picks it up here, drinks, puts it down. And he's the only one in that interview that looks extremely relaxed. And I mean, it just goes as far as simple little things you do that's going to, you know, show that those levels of confidence.
No, 100%.
Great point, though.
Yeah. No, and it goes like to a certain extent too. So like whenever you see someone like go into a room and you know you're like, damn, that guy's confident. You know, like something about like their body language makes them exert this confidence. So try to pick up like those little signs that you see, like he walks with his shoulders back, you know, head high. When he talks, he has a direct message, you know, very strong like vocabs and like big words basically. And yeah, it goes after like you said, modeling after those people, because it doesn't always have to be like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, all these big guys. You see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes like you see the CEO walk in, you never knew he was a CEO, but just the way his confidence is, you kind of know like
Yeah, you just look at him and you're like, yo,
Yeah.
that's the guy that runs
that's the
shit.
big boss. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean,
Or a guy or a girl, whatever.
of course.
because you wanna have a command type of presence when you walk into an environment. So like when you walk into an environment, you need to control the entire, like basically control your environment in the sense to where when you walk in, you're not walking in to impress anybody. You're walking in to convey, you're not walking in to convince. So what you want to instill in your mind is when you're walking in, keep in mind you have something valuable that the people that you're walking in with is basically searching for. So because of the fact that you have something value that you can offer to them, you know your time is valuable. You know you as an individual is valuable. So don't be the type of person that's gonna walk in, be all kind of nervous and scared, and then kind of just try and work your way into interacting with people. Be that type of person that when you walk in, you have that command type of presence to where they know you. You're basically the guy. You're basically the guy, the girl. You're the person that they need to go to, that they need to talk to. You know your stuff better than anybody else, and that's also going to go to be more assertive. When you're talking to somebody, when you're making a statement, don't make your statements sound like questions. Don't make your statements sound like questions. So, for example, a lot of times when people aren't confident, you'll hear them and they're like, oh, the is can I earn your business? Can I earn your business if I do this? And it's kind of like they don't sound confident in themselves. But you compare that with someone who's confident. It's like, listen, can I earn your business if I do this? It's two different types of tonality. So when you're in a situation where you're trying to impose or show that confidence, don't up talk. When you up talk, that's when you start to fluctuate your tone. Where you're going, yeah, but yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did this. Instead of just be like, yeah, I did it. I did it. I fucking did it. So, no, it's all about having that type of body language and demeanor and talking with a tonality that's going to let everybody that's in that room know that you're in charge. But most importantly, it's going to convey that you know what you're talking about and that you are confident in what you're talking about as well. And that's going to carry you much further than if you're kind of being more withdrawn and a little bit more held back.
Yeah, no, and a lot of that goes with like preparation as well. So
Right.
being prepared. So for example, like you see a lot of people when they get into arguments, the person losing the argument is the one that doesn't know the right information or the right amount of information to win that argument. So it's the same thing with negotiations, conversations, and arguments. What you really want to do is be prepared, know what it's going to take to win that person over or win this negotiation. Have your hands ready and know when to place them and play them.
Yeah, and then like a thing that a lot of people kind of look over when it comes to like preparing yourself is like before you even go out in the day and you put on your clothes and you go out there, it's very important that you prepare yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and what a lot of people, especially Tony Robbins, call priming yourself, right? So in the morning when you wake up, before you even start your day, you can, if you have a dream board or whatever the heck you may call it, you go look at that dream board, and you give yourself some positive affirmations. I will do this. I will become this. Right? You do some breathing techniques, get your breathing under control, and then take some time to meditate or pray or whatever it is that you're into, and you just take the first 10 minutes of your day to prime yourself up to get ready to tackle the rest of the day. And you'll notice after the first couple of times of doing this, you're just going to feel more confident and to tackle the day, and you're just going to feel better about yourself rather than waking up and you don't prime yourself and you're like, oh, and here comes another miserable day. And then you're just feeling like kind of bad throughout the day, But if you take the few minutes to go and prime yourself up, hype yourself up, and like, I will do this, I'm going to do this, you're going to feel better throughout the day.
Yeah, it's all momentum, right?
Yeah.
So if you can start off that momentum right off the rip on the beginning of the day, then it's just gonna like ripple throughout the whole
Exactly.
the whole day.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that too. And I mean, priming yourself is one of the most important things to do when it comes to starting out your day because, you want to have from the very beginning that type of energy going because that energy is what's going to carry you ultimately. And body language is going to be everything when it comes to your overall state of being. What was that?
I was just messing around. I was like,
So body language is what's going to carry you throughout your day. A lot of times you hear about people talking about, power posing, which is going to be like, standing up straight, doing what's it called, the Wonder Woman pose, and things like that for 2 minutes for confidence. Now, all those studies show that it doesn't necessarily work as well as advertised. What studies did show is when individuals did it, they did admit to feeling at least a little bit more confident, a little bit more powerful.
I can back that by saying I do that all the time, and it helps me feel great. And then especially like, okay, like when you go to the gym and you work out, if you don't sit there and do a couple poses in the mirror, and you don't feel confident afterwards doing those, sitting there in the mirror like, yeah, you know what I mean, or like,
Probably gonna have a
like
good workout.
in a way that's power posing, right? So like I feel confident when I do that. I'm sitting there, I'm flexing the mirror, or if like I'm standing there like this, like the manager pose, I feel confident. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also gonna come down to, it's also about believing in what you're talking about. I mean, you got to speak with conviction at the end of the day, and that's something that you preach a lot about, Darren, and it's 100% true. A lot of people, they fail to speak with conviction, so when they're trying to negotiate with somebody or they're trying to convince somebody of something, they don't have enough conviction in their tonality to get someone to believe in them. You got to understand that if you're trying to sell somebody a product, how is it going to benefit them? Okay, what are you trying to gain out of it, and what type of value can you provide to the person that you're negotiating with, other than just you taking their money? A lot of people are too transactional that they forget about the whole speak with conviction, be passionate about what you talk about, and learn to, when you're trying to hone in on key points, pause. It's a very powerful tool that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of more. A lot of people think that when you're trying to negotiate with somebody or you're trying to get an investor on board, that you have to talk fast. A lot of people think that you have to get your point across quick as possible. Truth is, there's a lot of power to whenever you're talking, right before you say a key point, pause. When you pause, not only does that get the audience's attention, because when you're talking and you're going on a tangent, chances are more than likely you're losing your audience. When you're capable of pausing in between sentences or right before you say the most important thing, that stops them. That gets them interested to where you're starting to reel them in a little bit more. Utilize that. Also, when you are talking in public, utilize your hands more. Have the palms of your hands pointed towards your audience slightly. A lot of people, when they talk like this. And I mean, does that genuinely show you how confident I am? Or if I talk like this, a lot of people do this, or a lot of people try and hug themselves, or whatever the case may be. But when you're in a situation where you're trying to talk to like the public, or you're just trying to make a presentation, your hands are very powerful tools, because when you keep your hands shoulder width apart, and then on top of that, when you're able to talk with your palms facing your audience, not only does that instill trust, but that also lets your audience know that not only can they believe in what you're saying, trust in what you're saying, but you know what you're talking about.
You know that when you were talking, right, and you may think I'm about to say something motivational, but every time you kept saying pause, like I didn't hear the word pause. I heard the word like like animal pause. So I was just like thinking of like a little dog, and you're like, you gotta pause.
No, but I completely agree with you. I feel like the pauses definitely slow down the tempo of the conversation, which basically engages like the listener's attention. And body language is huge. You having your hands open and doing all this stuff, it shows the person that you're not intimidated, you're not scared, and not only that, you're trustworthy, because this opening up just means that your guard is completely down, which means that you can be you're vulnerable, so you can be trusted. You're opening up to yourself, to everyone else.
That's right.
And one of the things that I like a lot about tonality and stuff like that is the ability to be precise and be precise in the words that you say and the way you say it. So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it, when you're starting to use like these strong words, like hard closing, especially like questions like trial closes and all this other stuff, that lets you know exactly where your client's at in the negotiation point, right? So tonality is huge on that point, because the way you want to direct your message, I feel like, is the biggest point, because depending on the customer or client that you have in front of you or what type of deal you're trying to get, that person, based on their personality, is going to be a whole different approach.
That's right.
So you want to make sure that you're using words knowing that those words are going to be hitting their hot buttons and also not offending them. And also learn their takeaway. Learn what is the biggest part. What are you taking away from them if they're not doing this deal? how can you make it seem like, hey, this is something that you need to get? So those are like, they go hand in hand, I feel.
Yeah, and I just want to a little piggyback off of not that you have like Miss Piggy on your cup, but piggyback off of what what Edison said with pausing and the power of pausing when you're talking. Right, I have an issue of talking too fast, and that's something I'm working on, but whatever. But when someone does pause, it kind of builds up anticipation, right? So you're like, yo, what is he gonna say? But there's also an art to it because you can't pause too long.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you pause too long, then they're gonna like the person you're talking to is like, yo, did he forget what he's gonna say? Like, what's going on? He's ending his say, is he waiting for me to talk? And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this cool pause. Like you think that in your head, and then all of a sudden the dude starts talking over you, like, oh shit, and then that will ruin your confidence level just a little bit. So there's an art to it.
So I'm glad you brought that up too. Is one thing you want to learn too when you're trying to develop confidence is not allowing other people to talk over you. What a lot of people fail to realize is when someone talks over you, it's not because they're trying to be rude. Oftentimes, people will talk over you because of the level of excitement that they have. They're excited about what you guys are talking about, or they're excited about something that you're talking about. So they want to get their point across. They don't realize they're cutting you off. The the best approach to this would be when someone cuts you off, continue talking, whether it's at the same pace or if you have to elevate your tone so that way they can understand that you're still talking and that'll usually shut them up. However, if you are in a situation where it's someone who is intentionally trying to be rude, I mean, just saying a simple stopping question, just like, or a stopping statement, such as, let's say they cut you off, right? And then I just look at you and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk while you were interrupting me. I mean, well, how are you going to respond to that? You're going to be like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to keep talking. No, you're going to be like, oh, my bad.
It's like, yeah, learn to quiet down.
So it's a lot about, showing, because at the end of the day, your time is valuable. So not only do you want to make sure you get your key points across, but on top of that, you want to learn to speak slowly. You want to learn how to manage the overall speed in which you speak. I like to say take your time and slow down when you're walking somewhere, when you're talking to somebody. When you're in a work environment and your manager calls you into the office, oftentimes you see these employees run. They have to run. They're like, okay, let me hurry up and get in there. But there's true confidence in knowing that, okay, my time is valuable to me. I'm going to take my time walking into that office. I'm going to take my time walking into this building because if it wasn't for my time, he wouldn't have this opportunity. He or she wouldn't have this opportunity to speak to me right now. This is my valuable time. They want to talk to me. So because they want to talk to me, I'm going to take my time. I'm in no rush for nobody. And there's a lot of power in doing so. And now I do have a question. Like, this is a great question to ask yourself. And don't primarily focus on the approval of others. Don't focus on trying to impress as many people as possible. So if you do feel like you're somebody who is in a situation where you kind of feel like, you're wondering what someone thinks of you, rather than questioning what somebody's opinion of you is or what somebody thinks of you, ask yourself why their opinion of you even matters. Ask yourself, would you be any different if they disliked you versus the way you are now? There is no strength that is gained from receiving somebody else's approval. And once you learn that, you will develop a level of power and confidence that's going to propel you and take you to the next level.
And I feel like confidence isn't just, like I agree everything you said, but I feel like confidence comes a lot with certain actions you do too. Like one of the things I've realized in my life when I was, asking for really big requests. So when I noticed, for example, when I was in the car business and doing all this stuff, when I had friends, sell, $3,000 fronts or $2,000 fronts, the person that always sold the $10,000-$15,000 front, which was the biggest deals you could possibly get in the car business right now, or 20, 30 around there. But basically, what the point I'm trying to get to is the people that were making the big requests, doing the big deals, asking the big questions, they just walked around differently. And their whole life was different too because they were able to ask for big things. They got big things in return. And I feel like a lot of confidence comes with those actions in life when, whether you're in sale or you're asking for a promotion, and you actually get that promotion, you realize, oh shoot, all I had to do was just ask and have the confidence to do that. Now the next time or the next place I go to, I'm going to make sure that my confidence is there. That way I can move up the ladder a lot quicker.
Yeah, and then I feel like that also ties into like momentum in a way, right? So like when you get my voice is so bad.
I didn't even hear it.
The moment.
But it's like momentum, right? So as you keep getting those wins, right? Like say you make your bed in the morning, right? It's a little win, and then you keep having those little wins, and then you go into what you were talking about, right? And you start making those big deals, start asking those big things, and you're just given big things in return. That momentum will carry up and just make you feel more confident. So
I agree.
that's just a little thing I wanted to piggyback.
Every day you wake up in the morning, you should wake up and say, "Wow, I'm grateful I'm alive today."
Mhm.
You should wake
Part of the
up.
prime
You
time,
should
yeah.
wake up every single day, as if it's a new life for you, as if you're beginning a new life, a new journey. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people, they wake up, the first thing they want to do is, like I always say, look at their phone or they get
Yeah,
pissed
and
off.
that's when, instead of doing that, they should just prime themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Take that 10, 15 minutes of you first waking up to do some breathing techniques and just start the day off great.
I agree.
Challenge yourself. If you want to be at a certain place, challenge yourself. Make deadlines for yourself. I feel like, putting that little fire up your ass to get you going in the morning, it fucking makes the whole lot of difference. But no, yeah, set those like deadlines, set those goals, because you need something to drive you. Confidence is, just an attribute, but if you don't have something driving you to be confident, then what are you being confident for?
Right.
So if you have a business plan or you want to get promoted in work, make sure you have that plan, because if everything we're saying is it's worthless if you don't have a purpose. You want to wake up knowing what you want to do in order to get it done, because that's what these skills and what we're trying to teach is basically to help you guys get to your end goal. And I feel like that's the biggest part of the whole thing.
Yep. And going back to tonality again, it's going to be, I want you guys to try this exercise and I want you to see how you feel. So when you're in a situation where you're upset, I want you to try yelling stop. What does that sound like? Like,
Stop.
no, like
No,
yelling.
like stop!
Yeah.
Ah, stop! Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so now compare that with this.
Stop.
You look at somebody and you're just like, with your hands, stop. Stop.
Stop.
Stop. Rather than yelling, a lot of people think, oh, I got to yell to get my point across. No. There's more power and more confidence when you're able to confidently and calmly tell somebody, stop. And you notice that if you do try this exercise and you do the same gesture, but you're like, stop. Over time, the more you say it, your voice will get deeper. And your fingers will start to widen out a little bit from one another. So your finger, your finger. So the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more confident you mentally already start getting. So it's a very important exercise to try out. All right, Spider-Man. It's a very important exercise to try out already. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and you know what's great too about that is is when you do say stop like that and not let your anger take control of you, right? It does display a level of confidence, but not in like a shining Hollywood star confident, but like confident that you can control your emotions, right? That makes you seem powerful, strong, confident in yourself. Like it just
Why do you make the weirdest sound? You said powerful, strong.
I don't know, maybe I'm a fucking like an English bulldog, bro. Like I just gotta go around
Powerful, strong.
yeah, powerful and strong. Like I don't, man, you threw me off.
Strong like bull.
Strong like bull. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
bull.
Hezbollah.
Yeah, it just shows like you can control your emotions. That just makes you seem more powerful. Okay,
No.
I'm just cutting you right there.
And
Next point, let's go.
And like conversations, this happens all the time. Like the person that's most emotional is typically the one that's losing the argument, or the
That's least
negotiation.
confident in themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And You know, and that's basically your whole goal as well. Like, people don't buy all the time with logic. They buy through emotion. So your goal is to get the other person emotional. Obviously, you're not trying to bring the angry emotion, but sometimes people do buy from people like pissed off. They're like, "Oh, fuck you. You know, I want to buy this thing, but I'm not buying it from you." And they end up buying it anyways, you know, just to prove you wrong. But at the end of the day, that's what your goal is to bring that client or that customer's emotions out in order to buy what you were trying to sell, whether it be a house, you know, car, all this other business stuff that you can sell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, relating to confidence, though, when it comes to actually developing confidence, you also want to learn to be non-reactive. It's something we talk about a lot, and a lot of people, they're wondering, how am I going to be non-reactive, you know? And a lot of people think by being non-reactive, you literally have to just shut up and let somebody basically beat up on you. But non-reactivity is not that. Non-reactivity is having the ability to, when you're in the face of conflict, you're capable of slowing down and just quietly thinking, okay, assess the situation you're in. What would be my proper response to this situation? What response would be the wisest approaching the situation? And it's by doing so that you're not going to bicker with people. You're not going to go out in an emotional huff because of the fact that you gave yourself maybe 20, 30 seconds of thinking time. And you're like, what would be the proper response to this conflict, this situation? And where that works out is I had a
Damn.
cheers.
I thought you were about to smash the glass.
I had a situation not too long ago, actually about a few months ago. It was a road rage incident. And I'm driving down 192, as you guys know, it's 192.
Wait, you said road rage or roid rage?
No, it wasn't on my behalf, so it was road rage. So I'm driving, and mind you, the speed limit's 50. I'm probably doing 53. Oh, shit. But I'm probably doing like 53.
Wait, hold on, I just caught what you said.
And as I'm driving, this guy comes up, and he does a U-turn. And mind you, I'm like right here, and he makes a U-turn, and I had to swerve. And I honked. And then I pull up to the light, and this is me going to the gym, so I'm like itchy. Because, you know, that was before the Braun formula came out and everything. So, yeah, it was actually probably a little bit over a year ago then. Because I pull up to the light, and he pulls up right beside me. And at this time, I didn't want to deal with anybody's shit. And he drives up on the grass. And he puts his window down, and he has, like, his girlfriend next to him. And he looks at me, and he was like, "Yo, what's up with you, bro? You want to pull over?" He's like, "You almost hit me there." And I looked at him, and I was like, "You made a U-turn when I was driving down, like, when I was literally driving." I was like, "I don't get why you did that." And then he was like, "Oh, you like, I don't know why you were driving so fast. I don't know why you couldn't move over. I don't know why you didn't see I was making a U-turn." And I looked at him, and then he kept trying to tell me, "Go, you know, let's go outside, pull over." And honestly, you guys know my background. I could have easily done one or two things. I could have pulled out a gun, or I could have beat his ass. But I also could have brought up the fact that I was going to beat his ass in front of his girl. That's what most people would have done in a situation like that, to intimidate somebody. But instead, all I did was I looked at him. I looked at his truck. It was like a shitty brown color. And I was like, "It's a nice paint job you got on your truck." And then he was like, "What?" And I was like, "I like your truck." I was like, "I like your truck. You really put some work into it, huh?" And then he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "It looks good." And he was like, "Thanks." And then I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "No problem." I was like, "You can keep going now." And he didn't know what to do. He froze, and he just drove off. And do you think he went home and told his girl, "Yeah, I won. I won that conversation"? Or do you think he was just like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like,
Yeah.
I could not get into this guy's head. And it, honestly, when I left that situation, I felt more powerful than if I were to have yelled at him. Nobody ever yells at somebody. I've never met anybody that was yelling at somebody and then later on felt proud about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're-
So like, for example, right? The simplest way to put it: are you going to act like a 5-year-old with baby rage, or are you going to act like a grown adult and take a few minutes to think about what's going on?
Right.
That's the key of being non-reactive. You think to yourself in this situation: am I going to baby rage like a fucking 4-year-old, or am I going to be a grown ass adult and be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
handle
not-
my situation.
Yeah, and sometimes the whole yelling emotional thing, it's not like you're trying to get your message. It's more like you venting, like you're just pissed the fuck
Yeah,
off.
that
and
guy
you just want to
would-
throw up all
That
this-
guy in the truck was baby raging.
Yeah. I could tell his girlfriend was very uncomfortable in the passenger seat. And it's funny. The reason I'm bringing this up is I had planned to bring the story up, and it's somehow, some way yesterday, I'm on my way to Walmart, and I see his fucking truck at the gas station. And I was like, yeah, I should just go up to him and say hi. I'm like, hey, you remember?
Like, hey, I like your truck.
I'm like, yo, I still like your truck, buddy. I'm sorry, by the way, that I kept driving when you made a U-turn.
I'm sorry that you don't know the rules of the road.
But the key is you don't want to react to threats. You don't want to react to threats predictably. You want to point something else out that's going to throw them off. And the reason I say that is this. A lot of people, when they threaten you, they expect you to quickly just jump into either being fearful or trying to combat with them head on. But when someone threatens to fight you, like let's say you're like, oh, I'm going to fight you. Oh, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm going to fuck you up. Let's go outside. Let's go outside.
Let's go
And I
outside.
just look at you and I'm like, it's a nice tattoo you got there. How long did it take to finish?
You know, it took 12 hours, but it's going to look a little nicer with your blood on it.
Yeah, that's right. I think so
Yo.
too. Is that the only thing you want on it?
I mean,
What are you gonna
What
say?
else you try to throw on there?
So, for example, if someone says something that's offensive, if someone points out something that you about like something bad about you or says something bad about you, rather than trying to come up with an excuse to defend it, just simply be like, "Huh, they must not know me well, or else they would have brought up more than just that." That's gonna change the whole game. That's literally going to change the whole game versus you sitting there trying to defend your case or trying to come up with excuses for what they just brought up about you. Be like, really? Is that all the information that you know about me? I thought you'd be able to provide more information than that.
Yeah. Or just call 911. Get
Or-
out, get out of this situation.
Just call
911.
911.
411 pain.
No, but that's all. What this is going to tie into is the power of stoicism. Oh my God, I love stoicism. No, there's a lot of power in being stoic.
well, hold on. Let me do something for you. All right. Well, Edison, what is stoicism?
I'm glad you asked. Stoicism is a way of managing your emotions, basically, to put it into layman terms.
That killed him.
Yeah.
One thing I like to say is, listen, I am not confident because I'm stoic. I'm stoic because I'm confident. Confidence will develop stoicism. The ability to know that you're basically about what you preach, and most importantly, that you can carry yourself confidently in a confident manner is what's going to develop that overall stoicism in you. And stoic people know that they expect the worst. They prepare to expect the worst. That way, when a situation arises where the worst does occur, it doesn't break them. A lot of people may say stoic people are unbreakable because of the fact that they don't necessarily carry their emotions on their back. A lot of people fall victim to carrying emotions on their back. So anytime you say something to them that's going to trigger them, they jump straight into, oh, well, fuck you. I'm going to bring this up about you. Oh, this, that, and the third.
Yeah, they baby rage. Or am I?
They baby rage, just like, yeah, I love that analogy. So they baby rage. And one thing about stoic people is they don't outsource happiness. They find that happiness from within. They wake up every single day grateful that they're alive. They wake up every single day as if this day is them beginning a new life. So because of that fact, it basically empowers them. It gets them to the point where they want to attack their day. They want to go after it. And what I'm going to say is this. Before you go to bed, I want you to ask yourself, what difficult task, what hardship did I overcome today? For me, yesterday was laziness. I overcame that. I literally cannot even tell you a single time I even sat on my bed, sat on a couch. All throughout yesterday, I was on my feet. And it was horrible because mentally I wanted to sleep. Mentally I wanted to nap. But I kept fighting with myself to do so. So it's very important to stay focused when you're faced with
Adversity.
no.
No.
It's very focused. It's very.
Challenges?
It's It's very important when you're to stay focused when you're faced with distractions.
Oh,
A lot of times, I try not to be rude to people, but if I'm doing some work and I'm like, let's say I'm editing, I'm doing research, or I'm doing something for Braun, and someone is trying to talk to me or trying to show me something that I know is going to throw me off my game, I may not respond. I may just be like, hold up, or I may just be like, give me 1 second while I'm continuing to work, because I know that time that I'm basically dedicating to staying focused and getting the job done is going to carry me longer. If I take 1 second just to distract myself, that 1 second is going to ruin my entire momentum. Why would I ruin my momentum to watch a video? Why would I ruin my momentum to look at someone's picture? Why would I ruin my momentum just to hear something that has no relevancy to what I'm trying to focus on? And there's a lot of power when you can stay focused, even when in the face of distractions. So that's also what, stoicism entails as well. But a lot of people think stoicism is mostly just in the case of, oh, I got to be this macho man that has no emotions and is basically going to walk around here like not talking to anybody. But a stoic person knows to engage with their community. Because not only does a stoic person have full management under their own emotions, they know how to utilize their emotions and they know how to utilize their own personal being to impact the lives of others within their community. And when you're capable of impacting the lives of others, you're capable of providing more. So ask yourself these stoic questions. Ask yourself, if basically who am I for? And what am I doing things for? If I am for me, who am I? And the reason I'm saying that is this. Basically, what this ties into is
If I am for me, who am I?
yes, and what that defines and what that basically in layman terms, what that comes into is what's more important for you, your external accomplishments or the impact you leave on others.
Impact you leave on others.
But are you
And
just saying
that's a
that
personal
like,
question to ask
Yeah,
yourself.
like it takes a
Because
while.
some
So,
people-
a lot of people might be like, I want to do my achievements. Like, why? I only care about my achievements in life, right?
You see, but then again, I want to be able to, impact my children, make sure that my family line, everything has been
But in a way, isn't
message
isn't that a
that-
personal achievement?
But
yes and no, because it wouldn't just be like
I
my
feel
own
like
children.
I feel like the word impact others is like
but this is
others, like so, like Dr. Martin Luther King level. Like,
well,
that's-
no. So here's a comparison.
yes, but not to
Tony
that
Robbins and somebody that Tony Robbins. What's his goal? His goal is to impact the lives of others.
Yeah.
He doesn't impact the lives of others by bragging about his accomplishments. Someone who cares about, like, let's say they're for themselves, and that's where if I'm only for myself, who am I? And that's because they're focused on their own external accomplishments. They may talk to their kids about everything they've accomplished to impact their kids, but they're not directly trying to just impact them in general. They're using their external accomplishments, which means that primarily their focus is on getting people to understand what they've accomplished in their life. And that kind of ties into kind of feeding their own ego a little bit, which there's nothing wrong with that if you're doing it for the right reason. If you're doing it to help people find a blueprint, if you're doing it to help people find a pathway because maybe they are lost. So sometimes when you share your personal external accomplishments to others, it gives them an idea of maybe if I tried this, it'll work. But if you work towards impacting others to where your primary goal is, I'm going to try and help as many people as possible, you can still achieve that same outcome. So it's important to ask yourself what's most important to you, so that way you know exactly how to aim and where to go in order to achieve that ultimate outcome.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and I mean it's all in the understanding that there's some things that are going to be, in our power, and there's some things that are going to be out of our power. The only thing that we have full control over is our own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you have full control over is your emotions. So, no,
You trying to kill me, though?
talking about emotion, right? No, but there's a lot of power in understanding that we define all of the events and all of the circumstances in our lives. What we associate as annoying, we're going to feel annoyed by. What we associate as stressful, we're going to be stressed by. But when you understand that you don't have full control over everything in life other than your emotions, you learn how to manage your emotions better. When you learn how to manage your emotions better, you're capable of doing things you didn't think you could do. So understand that, you need, as a stoic person, developing a stoic personality or stoic traits, learn to accept responsibility. Stop blaming other people. Stop blaming people for your emotional state. Nobody made you mad. Nobody made you frustrated. You have full control over that yourself. So if you find yourself frustrated, mad, upset, annoyed, or sad, you had full control over that. You chose to become that. You chose to portray that type of emotional state. And when you portray that type of emotional state and you blame others for it, you never give yourself the accountability and you never give yourself the opportunity to fix it yourself. So you stay within that mindset. And there's nothing more that's going to hurt somebody than their own belief of the situation that's going on. So when you believe somebody's out to get you, when you believe somebody's out to offend you, you basically hinder yourself. You basically handicap yourself. Because let me ask you this. If you say somebody annoyed you and the person that you think annoyed you doesn't realize they annoyed you because you didn't say anything, how much are you going to be in their head versus how much are you going to be in your own head?
You're gonna be in your own head the whole time.
Exactly.
They don't care.
They don't know. They don't know they annoyed you, so they don't care. You know, commit. And when you're trying this out, when you're trying to gain control over your emotional state, you have to realize you need to commit to consistency. Consistency is always going to be key to everything in life. So as a stoic person, you will commit to consistency, meaning you would not stop until you get the job done. And when you learn to not stop until you get the job done, or you learn that you're not going to stop until you develop that type of personality you want, you develop the level of confidence you want, or you develop the level of self-belief you want, by choosing consistency within that approach, you're going to find you have so much more to give than you're even accounting for right now. So ask yourself this: if you're currently in a situation where you're worried about something or you haven't taken action because you've been worried, ask yourself, what have you been missing out on by choosing to worry? It's your choice at the end of the day. You're not worried because life made you worried. You're worried because you chose to worry. And one thing to think about too when it comes to your emotional state, when it rains, when there's a thunderstorm, that's typically an environment where things are negative. You know, the clouds are rolling in, it's raining, but a lot of people seek peace in that. A lot of people, they sleep during those situations.
I love those.
And why is it that when it rains, we anticipate it, and because we anticipate it, we know how to approach it, but when something else happens in our life, we don't know how? Expect it. It's expecting it. Because when it's about to rain, you expect it. You check the weather, you check the clouds, whatever the case may be. And when you expect something to occur, you prepare yourself. So when situations happen that's negative, or you can always just tell yourself, I prepared for this moment. Oh, I've been practicing for this my whole life. This is nothing to me. So it's not the moments that you expect to occur that hurt you the most. It's the moment you least expect to occur that hurt you the most. So that's why it's important to try and expect the worst out of situations and don't hope for the best. Expect the worst and do your fucking best. By doing your fucking best, even if the worst is the outcome, you've at least expected it to the point where you're not fucking fazed by it. It's just another obstacle in your journey to success. And once you learn that, you would develop that level of stoicism. You would develop that level of confidence. And you would develop that level of self-approval and self-belief.
Yes, sir.
That was strong, man.
Yeah. Love you.
Very
Love
strong.
you too.
Very powerful.
Yeah, and then I don't know if it cut out when I said this, but you wanna. I think I said this. I don't think it cut out when I said this.
I have no idea.
About like you gotta learn to accept responsibility and stop blaming people for your emotions.
Maybe it cut out. I don't know.
No, I think I heard that part when I was
Okay,
checking.
cool. Yeah, because you chose those emotions you have. And guys, I'm glad we were able to do this. I'm glad we were able to help you guys as much as possible. If you gained anything from it, if you learned something new from it, if you have something that you can apply to your life now because of this talk that we've had here, all we ask is that you share it with a family member, you share it with a friend, you share it with somebody that you know will benefit from it. Most importantly, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, whatever the case may be. Let us know how you found us. I mean, we love to know how you found us, whether it was on your Explore page, For You page, whatever the case may be. And most importantly, please remind Daniel to make us breakfast.
Hey, waffles next week.
Ooh.
All right. That's.
I don't even have a
important
waffle
stuff.
maker.
But
He said it.
Waffle House.
I also want to say my goodbyes, and one of the things I'm going to say is if you disagree with anything we said, put down in the comments your argument, like the video or dislike it. I would say like the video and share it to other people that you think may disagree so we can have a conversation. And watch it. I don't care. You know what I mean? Just enjoy the...
You guys down to do
I'm
something a little different?
What do you mean?
So I'm thinking this month. All right, so we post about like four long videos a month, right? So if you guys leave a comment down below, we'll actually choose one person at the end of the month to do like a live stream where we answer the question, and then that way you guys get us in person, get us to answer the question that you guys want and
A
see
Q&A.
exactly what value.
Yes, please. I'm more than willing to
Yeah,
do
we could do that. And then also, guys,
Q&A.
yeah, just like, comment, engage. Have a
Fuck
good
it.
day.
And
do
don't
it.
baby rage.
Make today a good one.